Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L coming in with a My Hero Academia video this time. Specifically, it's a comparison video where we compare episode 3, I believe, of season 4 to chapters 127 and 128 of the My Hero Academia manga. You know the drill if you've seen these videos before. This is a nitpick video. We're going to go through and I'm going to point out the big changes for the episode. This time around, I've got around, I think, 8 for you guys. And this time around, I think if you're an anime-only viewer, you should be happy because the anime is doing viewers a lot of favors. No doubt about that. What favors exactly? Well, we'll see them. It's actually change number 7. It's almost at the end of the video. Just hold on. We'll get there. So without further ado, let's just get into it with the first change that I felt was worth noting. It was specifically when Night Eye was talking about unlicensed goods. The manga, didn't really give a good exposition shot. It didn't have a good visual aid. The anime stepped in there and had a really good visual aid. Usually I skip these kind of changes, but this time around this was the nature of the majority of the changes. The anime just stepped in and gave better visual aids to whenever someone was talking. So it's worth noting it because they put in more work, right? And that's always something worth appreciating. Moving on into the second bit, and it's continuing with more exposition. We got extra exposition on the kid in the water scene. The manga just had Izuku talking about it. The anime went the extra mile and showed the whole flashback. That, however, might explain why the anime sequences were kinda odd with the two randoms just watching the kid there and the weird comedic timing on All Might before he went in to get the kid. Still, good job anime. The next thing I got for you is actually an interesting translation thing that I wanted to bring up. Actually, in all honesty, this probably isn't a change, but it's worth noting. The weird thing happens where Night Eye is questioning if Izuku was testing him. In the official Viz translation, the one that goes on sale in the West, the dialogue isn't the same. Here's the shot. You can note this is not the same dialogue in the anime subs. Interestingly, a fan group has the translation that the anime has. It's really interesting to see such a wild discrepancy between the subs of the anime and the official source. So I'm just putting that out there, just nice trivia, right? Anyway, the next change occurs right when Izuku is going in to take the stamp. The bits of dialogue where Izuku wonders about Night Eye's quirk are not in the manga. The anime ends up giving the sense that Izuku may have known what the quirk was ahead of time. This is just, again, more expansion material. This was one of the cases of just lines being added with nothing else. Moving into the next note, the next change occurs during the test. The whole bit where Izuku tosses his bag is anime original. That is not in the manga. And then the bit where Meteor comments that Izuku is being played around with is also anime original. So that whole Meteor Bubble Girl scene talking about the test does not happen. Moving into a big one, we have another interesting change at the end of the test, and it's here in this moment. Izuku hits the wall and then says he didn't want to step on the tapestry. This was kind of weird, given that his trajectory seemed to indicate that he could step anywhere to the left or underneath his impact point. Not only that, but viewers saw that Izuku was confident enough to step near the tapestry when he was moving at high speeds, given these select footprints. What that ultimately leads me to conclude is that in the anime, Izuku could have made the extra step he needed. I don't think the tapestry was in danger here, not physically. Just given where Izuku landed, it wouldn't have been hard for Izuku to have stepped right underneath his impact point. This, however, wasn't the case in the manga, because in the manga, he landed right above the tapestry. So in this case, the manga's iteration makes more sense because when you look at the panel, given the height that Izuku's knees were at, his feet were most likely going to land on the tapestry if he was going for the next step. So why did the anime change it? No idea, but I suspect that the blood trail might be a clue behind the thought process. In the manga, Izuku just rolled off the wall. In the anime, they played the trail of blood for laughs. My guess is that the blood trail might have been a visual gag that they came up with in the storyboarding process, and then they just adapted that into the episode and made the appropriate change to make the joke work properly here. Because they couldn't put Izuku above the tapestry like it was in the manga, because then the blood would have trailed onto the tapestry. So you can see why they made the change if you accept the premise that they wanted the joke to be in there first. So this is ultimately a situation where the manga's version of events or the end conclusions of what happened in the manga have to still happen in the anime, but then they kind of changed some of the little details that then looks kind of weird when you see it play out in the anime. It was a really interesting change. We don't get these kind of changes very often. The next bit is the #1 change in the entire episode, and it's a giant case of good job anime. The scene where we are back in the dorms and find out about Tokoyami's internship deal, all of that whole segment is entirely anime original. That's 2 minutes and 45 seconds of anime original material, guys. In the manga, we didn't do this. We just skipped directly to Izuku's first day working with Mirio. But here, the anime gave us so many details. In the manga, we had no idea what was going on with Tokoyami until we managed to spy him in a single panel that implied that he was out on an internship. And even then, we didn't know who had the luck of hanging out with Tokoyami. We only found out he was with Hawks around the time that Hawks was introduced as the character, and let me tell you, Hawks wasn't introduced in this arc. Hawks came way later. So when it came to Hawks, this was a case where, because the anime had the virtue of knowing over 100 chapters worth of the future of Hero Academia, they could add this bit in and start building this up better than the manga originally did. And that's what they were also doing with the other details that were present in the scene. The bit where Aizawa tells the kids that 2 of the big 3 want to meet up to talk with them was also anime original, but it's so good. The anime is setting things up very nicely compared to the manga. At this point in time, we had no idea that those 3, Kirishima, Tsuyu, and Ochako, were gonna go and talk to some of the big 3. You might be asking, why didn't the manga show this material in the first place? Like, it's only 2 minutes of the anime, it seems pretty simple. Honestly, I would guess that the author probably just didn't have the time to show this. It's probably could be chalked up to time constraints. Authors not having time is a common thing that we hear about whenever we read the interviews for any given series, whether it be Shokugeki no Soma or One Piece. It's just, I think, something that happens in the industry. It's an unfortunate consequence of having to meet deadlines and having to keep the story interesting. But thankfully, that's where anime can come in and expand on material. So when I saw this is good stuff. This is good expansion. This is what anime original material should be. It should give you extra details and fill in the gaps that the manga didn't have time to. Also, I would wager that Hawks' character design was not ready at this point in time in the manga. Moving on, the last change is a small one. When the team is getting their orders for the day, they were in Night Eye's office in the anime. In the manga, they were on the streets. The reason for this is that quite literally on the next page we had the Eri scene in the manga. It was a more natural transition in the manga, that's my guess. It's also worth noting that the panels of the characters talking in the manga mostly had blank backgrounds. In other words, the background wasn't really important for the chat that they were having. So I suspect it may have just been easier to work with the backgrounds that they already had instead of having to draw new backgrounds that probably weren't going to be used again. And also I have another hypothesis. They may have changed it because it's weird to get your very critical briefing out in public in the open on a random street where anyone can hear you. Honestly, in the manga, now that you think about it, getting your briefing out there, probably not the best move. It makes more sense to get your briefing in a secure location. So no matter how, I'm just gonna say this one is a good job anime. I think this one just worked. This one seems more reasonable in general. You should not be getting your very sensitive anti-Yakuza operation information out in the open, Anyway, this time around, I think we got some cool expansionary material that only makes the story better in general. I cannot understate how much I love that they were so direct with Tokoyami's placement. That made my day. And it takes out some of the sleuthing, but we don't really need to be sleuthing around. It's nice when they just tell us what's going on. I really appreciated that. And that was the name of the game for the changes in this episode. All the changes added something to the story. There wasn't really omissions going on here. And that's really where we want to be when it comes to the anime adaptation of manga. I'm very happy overall. So guys, that's it for me. Let me know what you thought down below, and till next time, I hope you have an absolutely great day, and I hope you enjoyed the video.